Okay, hey guys, and welcome back to the Natty Scene. You've been flooded with content this week. I've had like 3 podcasts, one of them being a kind of a weird podcast, but it got a good response from me and Jack having a chat, and then obviously I had Dan Lampard earlier in the week, and now as promised, the usual Friday update with me and Vicky. So we're here again to wrap up our week, and also going to a few topics, some of which have been inspired by questions that we've got from listeners. And some of which are just sort of what's going on at the moment in the industry and what our views and current thoughts are, and just discussing and having rambles as we usually do. So welcome back, guys. And first up, obviously a little bit of a wrap up on our weeks and how we're going. So over the past sort of 7 days, Vicky, how have things been for you? What are the ups and downs of Vicky's training and nutrition right now?
The ups and downs. Yeah. The ups are training is freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. The downs are sleep is freaking shit. However, last night, obviously, because I was so tired because I was awake from 2 o'clock in the morning the day before on previous, and then I had a really long day at work, I just managed to get into bed and pass out, which was awesome. So now I'm on a bit of a high because I've actually had somewhat of about 8 hours sleep.
Wow. It's unusual
my body,
for you.
I know, right? That's like a week's worth of sleep for me all in one day. So God knows how I'm going to act today, which is going to be really funny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've put it as a goal for me to improve my overhead press by 2.5 kilos every week. So that is my little goal.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
OHP it is tough,
OHP
right?
is so hard to progress. I'll be very impressed if you do that.
I know. Well, I did it from last week, and I did it for reps.
Yeah.
So, and that was after my conditioning as well.
Yeah.
So I was very, very pleased with that. And my shoulders haven't been giving me any jip whatsoever. So obviously something is going right. But what I have found, and what I'm correlating it to, is that I've increased my pre-workout carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And just pre-workout carbohydrates. Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
And that I found has really helped. I'm still not kind of extending the amount of time that I'm leaving before I go to the gym after I eat. I'm still one of these people that eat and go.
Yeah.
You know, because I do spend about 15, 20 minutes warming up now because my lifts are getting heavy. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking at my logbook. I'm thinking, holy shit. So my logbook is starting to scare me now.
Yeah.
Especially with my OHP.
Yeah, I bet.
but I'm still getting my reps, and I got a solid 8 reps as well. I think because my OHP is between 6 and 8 reps, it is heavy, but my form is really good, and I don't feel like I'm completely blowing myself out on that top set.
Sure.
So that is the one that I'm trying to improve 2.5 kilo on every week. So that's my little goal. Uh-huh. So I did that yesterday. So now I've got obviously like a week's worth of recovery from the OHP before I go and do it again. Obviously I'll do my, dumbbell seated raises and that kind of thing. So it's not like I'm not doing shoulders again for another week.
Sure.
Like full on bro.
Yeah.
But it's just that one major movement that I won't be doing. So that's cool. And then nutrition wise, everything's been going in. I have been giving myself some little bits of quote unquote treats, which I don't really see as treats. It's just something that's a little bit different because my sponsor from over in America, Body Amplify, decided to send me a box full of goodies as well as my box full of whey. So he sent me some Hershey's bars and stuff. So, I thought, well, it'd be rude not to try a little bit of that. So I managed to kind of manipulate my dark chocolate and have some Hershey's chocolate instead, which was very, very delicious. And spot on. And the good thing is that there was no guilt. There was no kind of feeling of weakness or anything like that because I'd given in to some American treats.
No way.
So mentality wise, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So my week's been awesome. How about your week? Your back is looking fucking ridiculous. So, in fact, don't speak about your week because you're just making everybody feel inadequate from your particular progress.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's very kind. And I was actually quite blown away by the the amount of comments that I had on that. I guess it just sort of, and you're quite similar in the sense that you don't really show, or you show even less physique shots than I do. You very rarely showed them throughout prep either, to be honest, and that's maybe something that we could talk about in the future. But I haven't, apart from a few on my story, I haven't really sort of like shown an actual how am I looking shot for a little while, definitely for a little while for me. not a little while for Jack Thorburn.
Daily posing practice with Jack Thorburn.
We
Why
have
do we
to-
always
we
kind
have
of
to
burn
slate
Jack on
him.
this?
We have to slate him every time.
I've got to do it. Love you, Jack.
Yeah,
Hi, Jack.
we
Jack,
do.
Screenshot this, okay? How do we do that little thing? There,
Yeah,
there it is. There you go. Screenshot that, Jack.
We do love Jack, really. We
do. Lots
we're
and
only joking, but yes, I just hadn't sort of shown something proper in a while, so it was really nice to get some nice comments on that. So, and thank you for saying your opinion as well. That means a lot. I know if you say it's good, then it's certainly good. So yeah, training wise, I have had a really good week. Obviously, the Friday that we last recorded the podcast, I went up to Crayford. I'm going up to Crayford again today, so I'm trying to do one session a week there on a Friday for a leg day, because the kit is awesome. I really enjoy it, and it just gives me. I really do think that's going to add to my sort of like bucket of ability to make progress. You know what I mean? Because it's all well and good training in the same gym all the time, but when you do have access to like really the top end hammer strength kit and all of that, like I think it does make a difference if you can get to it, especially if you're sort of looking to get to the elite levels of bodybuilding. You want to maximize everything. So that session went really well, and then my weekend session, the Saturday session, the day after that, was in Muscle Works, Bethnal Green in London. So I went up to see a friend there. That was really, really good. We basically went through a session where, we did like 2 or 3 work sets on a couple of exercises, but I can remember we did like 2 or 3 sets on a single arm hammer strength bit of kit. And we were there for like half an hour, because every set was like on the fucking money. And I was like, there was a lot of coaching cues, with sort of like scapular retraction and keeping chest on the bench, and like it was just spot on. And to have someone there that when you give them a coaching cue, they know how to like implement it with you and like hold your sternum down and things like that. It's like, that's money. I swear, if I had that like every single session, I'd be making even more progress.
Well, that's why you need to move up here with me.
Yeah,
and then we are coaching buddies, right?
Exactly. We'd make serious sessions,
serious gains.
so that was Saturday, and then the rest of the week has just been pretty much like spot on, if I'm honest. No real issues. The only thing that I am experiencing at the moment, training wise, is, and I mentioned this in my story this morning, just like feeling just generally more fatigued. So like I'm finding like when I try and wake up, my usual time sort of between 5:30 and 6 still, I'm finding that my body doesn't really want to wake up at that time anymore. Like when I was prepping, my intensity in the gym was still high, but I wasn't progressively overloading. So the sessions weren't as taxing because I was just maintaining volume. But now that I'm actually doing more each session and trying to overload and hitting things I've never hit before, my body's like, I need a bit more rest. I can tell that it just either needs even more sleep than I'm currently getting. So I usually go to bed about 9 and wake up 5:30, 6. And then, or I just need to take literally just more rest days. So I just won't be able to train 6 days a week anymore. I look towards maybe training 5 days a week, like 3 on, 3 off, or something like that. It's not 3 on, 3 off, 3 on, 1 off, and then and then repeat the cycle. So yeah, that's the only thing that I'm feeling training wise, is maybe a requirement for slightly more rest, which is cool. And I probably will succumb to that over the sort of the next few weeks, and then see how that goes. Nutrition wise, everything's sort of been kept the same. Macros wise, I've not made any changes since I got back from the US, and body weight since I came back from the US, I think I've sort of, it's so hard to judge when you're following quite a slow gain, because you go up a pound and then you come back a pound, and then you look at your average. So basically, at the end of the month, if my body weight's gone up between 1 and 2 pounds, I'm happy. If it's gone up if it's gone up like, sort of 4 or 5 pounds in a month, that's too fucking fast, in my opinion. So I'd be looking to slow it down. But for the course of this month, I'm certainly on track, and just aim to do the same for March, and the goal is just to stay in a surplus for as long as I can, really. I don't really want to spend, a lot of my time mini cutting or coming backwards. And that's why I sort of follow the more slow gain and then minimal cleanups, because I just think I carry more momentum from a training perspective with that kind of approach. Because if you have sort of this like, I'm just going to blast the weight gain and then I'm going to have to mini cut, well, you just minimise the amount of time that you're doing productive work, in my opinion. Because the mini cut, yeah, you might hold on to your strength, which is great and admirable for doing that in a mini cut, but essentially you're spending time where you're not building any tissue. You're trying to maintain your training volume, and I've had enough of that. I did that for a large part of last year, trying to maintain my performance. I want to smash sessions, and I can smash sessions in a moderate surplus. I don't need some sort of crazy 5,000 calorie surplus. 5,000 calorie surplus. I don't need some crazy 5,000 calorie days to like fuel progression. I just don't require that. I think that's something that people need to realise is like, eating big to get big is certainly like that. That's certainly true. You do need to eat a lot of food at most points, but you don't need to eat like an idiot and eat way more than you need. Yeah. You need to eat what you need. And
I would want to change that sentence to something like train big to get big.
Yeah, and eat adequately.
So, I know, but that doesn't sound sexy though, does it? And it doesn't sound hardcore.
No.
Do you know what I mean? If we wrote a book that said eat in a moderate surplus but train like a mofo, it still wouldn't get as many sales as like eat big to get big.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's very true. But yeah, that's me, and a little bit brief update.
Cool.
The goals still will remain the same for a long period of time, I think. And just got to stay patient, and that's what a lot of people don't have. So if you have it, you're blessed, and you'll probably go very far with your goals if you just apply patience to a gaining phase.
Yeah,
because it does get a bit repetitive, but. Yeah. You just got to stick to
repetitive, monotonous, and you will have days where you're like my day last week, where I was like, fuck, my ass is not growing and I'm really annoyed and this, that and the other, and then the next day it's like, Vic, stop being so bloody stupid.
Yeah.
So you've got to take a step forward to have or a step back to take you 3 steps forward and all that malarkey. So be patient, enjoy the process, enjoy your gaining phase, because when it does come to dieting and getting on stage, you're going to have some darker days on those. So So let's get into our topic, our first one today. Did you like my Iron Man, by the way?
Very cool, that.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool.
Very cool.
Sorry, just a bit of a divergent topic. So first subject of the day, we were actually going to talk about bitchiness, weren't we? Because we've seen a couple of things on the old socials where people are kind of like indirectly being bitchy towards one another in the industry, and we've just kind of been scratching our heads going, why? Life is a little bit too short, and we're all in this industry together to achieve the same thing. So why the hell are we being bitchy?
Yep.
So what's one of the examples that you've seen, and how do you deal with somebody who's being directly bitchy and indirectly bitchy to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think I deal personally, and I understand and I can take the direct stuff way better than indirect, because indirect just, like, basically what I mean by indirect is someone calling out someone without having sort of, like, named them or told them about it and just trying to hide it. So, in my opinion, that's just, like, it's just childish, because you just need to, basically, if you've got a problem with someone, you should just tell them, give them your opinion, and then they can deal with it how they want to deal with it. Now, I've personally had, several experiences where people have, tried to sort of say that I'm wrong about something, or, demonize what I'm trying to say, or, my technique on something or something like that. And I sometimes find it hard to take. Sometimes, I must admit, sometimes do get annoyed about it, because I'm like, this is something that I believe in, this is the way that I do it, and and then I stand up for myself, and I think that's very important, especially if you're a younger coach or you're like a less experienced person putting out content. It should be very important for you to still be aware that you can stand up for yourself. So if you believe in something and someone who you think is bigger than you in the fitness industry comes down to like try and demonize you and make you look silly in front of all your Instagram followers or whatever, they're doing that exactly to get that response. They're doing it exactly to try and call you out, trying to catch you, which I think is fucking lame, to be honest. If you want to try and catch someone or like prove them wrong, especially a newer coach or an upcoming coach, if I had that done to me like when I was an upcoming coach and people just kept like commenting and trying to make me look bad, I'd be really put off the fitness industry. So I make sure that like if I see a coach doing something that I don't agree with, I tend to just not bother commenting. And there's even respected coaches that do things that I just thoroughly just do not agree with. But I barely message them or tell them or I never indirectly do anything that would sort of like show them up or anything like that, because it's just not worth it for me. And it's like I said, especially the newer coaches, because like you said, we're here to build people up, not break them down. And I find that the fitness industry is a subculture where we just try too many times to like just break people down. Sure. and try and ruin people rather than build them up. And the reality is people will always make mistakes. People will always put out content that perhaps in the future will be proved wrong, or the ways will change, for example. But it's just something that you just need to accept. People have different opinions. People have different approaches. And that is it. That is set in stone. But yeah, I must admit, sometimes, like especially in the past, I have got annoyed. I have got down about things in the past, especially comments that just annoy me a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard not to. So like, if you get annoyed by comments, don't think that you're like one in a million, because even people like us get annoyed about comments sometimes.
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, it's the playground. What's it called? Sentence, telltale rhyme, whatever it is. Sticks and stones may break my bones.
Yeah.
But words will never hurt me. And I find that so ridiculous, because actually words are so much more powerful than actually sticks and stones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can break bones and you can heal from those, and actually those bones will heal stronger, which will actually make you stronger in that particular movement or whatever, or defending yourself. But words, they can hurt deep, and they can hurt for a very, very, very long time.
Too right.
So one thing that I would say on that one is about being supportive and calling somebody out on social media and that kind of thing. Think of people on social media like your clients, especially if they're coaches as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a client who, bless her heart, she's absolutely incredible with her passion and dedication. And she posted a video in our Titan coaching group on Facebook, which is a private group, of her doing hip thrusts. Now, her form wasn't brilliant, but she was putting some really heavy weight on this bar. So all I did was actually like it and say, great stuff, babe, I'll send you a message. Now, I was not about to say on that, I'm going to say quote unquote public, but there's 40 odd people in that group. I'm not going to quote on a public group to say that her form was wrong. She needs to drop the weight. She needs to point her toes out. Her grip was bad on the bar. She wasn't contracting. She was hyperextending. I'm not just about to put that on there, because I want people to see that she's got the passion and the drive to put some heavy weight on a bar.
Yeah. Perfect, yeah.
So then privately, I gave her a phone call and said, right, this is what we need to do to adjust that form a little bit more in order to get the correct movement, and in order to do this and blah, 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 and that's what you need to do. And it's about support, I mean, everybody, I hope everybody follows him, because, or who listens to this, but our Georgie boy, George Osborne, he's on Instagram as George Osborne 12. He always tags me and AJ in his Bassa meals, because he has Bassa with paprika in it, right? And he's like, ooh, perfection. So I've been doing the same thing with him, and we've been having some back and forth about our meals and that, because he was saying that he wished he could have fitted this into his day and that into his day. So I said, well, dude, I'll send you over some ideas and send you over some recipes and stuff. So he sent me his macros. And I basically designed him a meal plan that surrounded those macros that were cheap and easy because he's a student.
Yeah.
Easy to cook because, again, he's a student and he doesn't want to be elaborate in his meals and stuff. But he messaged me back so surprised that I took that time out of my day to kind of help him, and really had no clue that I was going to do that for him, and was overly thankful. And it's like I said, bud, we're amigos. It's fine. I've never met George.
Yeah.
I've never met him. He's not one of my best friends or anything. He's an Instagram amigo. And yet I take the time out of my day to help him or just give him suggestions. Now, whether he puts that into fruition, I've got no idea whether he's going to or not. So, George, if you don't, you're a bastard and I don't like you anymore. However, no, I'm joking, obviously. But, it's just that little kind of like a handshake and saying, we're all in it together. If you want to make an off-season as delicious as possible, then we don't need to have batter and broccoli and lettuce leaves every breakfast time. You can swap that.
And it's the little things like that he'll remember and that will really make a difference. Like reaching out and doing things like that. I'm going to try and shout and continue talking because my dog's being a nightmare. He needs to go outside. So if you can still hear me, guys, I'm opening the door. Out goes Doug. There he is. He's outside. He's been walking around the kitchen like a clueless bat for the last 5 minutes. Right, okay, so I'm back. Essentially what I've learned, especially when it comes to like gaining exposure and gaining a good name for yourself in the fitness industry, which is pretty much impossible because someone will always hate you. So that's a reality, guys. Like you'll never be loved by everyone. It's impossible. Even the guys that are like the best names and the most loved in the fitness industry, that they still have haters and people that just take a dislike into them even if they've done nothing wrong in their entire life.
Who do you think that's like a big name in the industry that somebody really doesn't like, or have you got one?
It's a good question. It would be name calling if I said some people, but there's a few big names that maybe own a gym and things like that everyone thinks that, everyone loves him kind of thing. And I've personally taken a little bit of I've never liked personalities that think that, like, to be fair, to own a really successful business and to do really well in the fitness industry, you have got to be a little bit cocky. But I've never liked people that just always come across as cocky, like, all the time. And never show any sort of signs of being really humble. So that's something that I just don't like as a personality trait. But I'm not going to sit here and name call.
No. I mean, I can give examples basically, because it's not just people who are hating on our feeds or anything like that, because we're not big names in the industry, but I can give you examples that I've seen over the last 2 days. Jordan Peters, for one.
Yeah.
He put a post up the other day. He's got about 60% of people going, yeah, bang on, damn right, etc., etc. The other 40% are all haters.
Yeah.
And they're hating on him. Ben Pekulski's another one. He says something or other, and he's got thousands of comments or hundreds of comments. Again, 60, 70% are like, yes, Ben, bang on. The other ones are all haters. And saying, what? That's not science, bro. So it's not just, don't think of yourself that people, if they do hate on your particular post or anything else that they do, don't think that they're doing it just to get at you. Every single personal trainer, coach, or anybody who's a big ass name, who's a little ass name, the 3DNJ coaches in the natural industry, for God's sake, my God, I know people who proper hate on them, and it's because it's their opinion. But again, if you're looking at things for opinion basis, sorry, we're kind of like backtracked a little bit, but if you're going on things of opinion basis and you only want to go down the scientific route, then you can never, ever, ever use anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, 100%.
And look at people like John Meadows. The guy is a beast. Okay, fair enough. He's not a natural guy, but he's a beast, and he knows his shit. Especially when he goes to protecting joints and actually how to safely execute movements.
Yeah.
Now he ain't scientific.
Yeah.
But he goes on anecdotal evidence because what's worked for him in the past, which is his bro split and various other bits, has worked. What his opinion is going to be different to what our opinion is. Are we going to hate on the guy for him? No, because it's worked. Are we ever going to hate on Arnold Schwarzenegger because of his bro splits and 2-a-days and 3-hour session 2-a-days, No, because look at him. It's his anecdotal evidence. It's what worked on him. But that, again, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Your opinion on Arnie might be like, well, he was a twat. So, and I'd never do what he did.
And there's a balance, like I said in my post yesterday, what will always build muscle will always build muscle. And that remains the same. There's certain trends and things that you can look at. I like when it comes to like coming to a conclusion, I like to look at what other people are doing and try and determine as to whether in the past this has frequently worked and produced the results that I want to see. So like if I like 9 out of 10 times, I don't know, for example, people with really like well developed top to toe posterior chains, they tend to deadlift. And they tend to they tend to have really strong deadlifts, and they tend to have deadlifted for a long period of time over their bodybuilding career. And that is just something that just pretty much across the board remains quite similar. They deadlift quite heavy numbers for reps. They're not doing sort of really, really low sets. They're doing high rep sets across the board, making progress over time with that movement. And that just shows that there's something there in that movement potentially that's allowing them to develop a really good posterior chain alongside the genetic factors and all the other things that they do in the gym that correlate to posterior chain growth. But that's something that you can take by looking into what other good bodybuilders are doing, not just looking at what the research says. So if the research suddenly comes out and says you don't have to deadlift, you can just do lat pull downs, like great, brilliant, like awesome. But I honestly think that the more people look into research, the more they try and make life easier for themselves as opposed to make it tough and harder and doing the stuff that's actually challenging. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we've gone off on a fair tangent on that, but essentially what we want to see more of is like people commenting and liking and doing things like Vicky did for George, bringing up people. And like I was saying about building my business and things like that, the more that I've built my business, the more that I've realised that doing stuff for people, like hopping on a Skype call to talk about coaching sheets or to answer some people's questions like I did with Jack the other day, things like that have brought me up as someone that owns a business more than the amount of times I've tried to call out people or the amount of accolades I'll get for proving someone wrong. Spend your time helping people rather than sitting on your arse on a sofa, scrolling through your feed, trying to find someone to call out or comment saying you're doing it wrong. Spend your time trying to help people and you'll get a lot more out of that.
Definitely.
Far more out of that.
I mean, just before we move on to some questions and stuff like that, I'm not going to be funny about it, but the best example I can give you is Joe Wicks, the body coach.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that guy. Everybody berates him. Everybody takes the piss out of him. But what does he actually want to do? He wants to help obese people or overweight people lose weight. And that's all he wants to do. And he's been doing a program actually on channel. Is it Channel 4 that he's doing it on or something like that?
I've seen that.
Yeah, he's been doing that. And it's to help somebody get into a wedding dress. Now, this is not to put somebody on stage, but this is actually to educate them a little bit more on making some healthier choices. And and just getting them moving. That's all he wants to do. He wants to help people. Now, don't get me wrong. The guy's got a superb marketing team behind him, and I wish I had his kind of money to get that marketing team behind me. But that's all we realistically want to do in the fitness industry, is that we want to help people. If you want to get people on stage, that's your niche. You want to help people get on stage. Don't just turn around and say, well, you're doing that bloody if you're doing that RDL wrong, or you're doing that shrug wrong, or you're doing this wrong, and then just walk away. Why don't you just say, can I give you a little bit of advice? Or if somebody comes to you saying, can you give me a clue on this? Yeah, sure, have 5 minutes and take your time, do this. Instead of just saying, well, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
and you're doing it wrong. So there.
Yeah, and then like DM them instead of sort of trying to just call them out. Like you said, send them a private message kind of thing. It usually works out a little bit better if you do that, but
Sure.
I can
Exactly.
understand that, people put out content and the content's there to be commented on. So if you do want to comment on it and, tell people they're doing things wrong, you have the right to do it. But it's just sometimes a little bit, there should be maybe a little bit more of a thought process behind it, in my opinion. That's just what I think.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's move on to some of these questions and rattle through them. So,
Sure.
Sasha, which is actually a client of mine, she asked about sort of female physiques and do they just tend to fall into like a specific category, regardless of whether they're enhanced or their rate of growth and things like that. So do you think that, and this is more a question for you, do you think that give a given body type, like the way someone just looks naturally, their shape, etc., leads them to always fall into one category? Or do you think that along their career and obviously building tissue, that they can change category in the future even if their body type initially fits one class?
Yeah, definitely. So from my experience, I have competed in train figure, natural, which was in a non-tested federation.
Okay.
Figure itself, which was my first bodybuilding competition in 2015 at the BMBF athletic. And I have done no, that was it actually. Yeah. So figure wise, the classic X shape, wide shoulders, small waist, and then obviously a nice quad sweep with some good hips. So it's that classic X shape that you want to go to.
Yeah.
That is one that you realistically have to be genetically made for, personally speaking. I went into the figure division and I am very straight up and down. My waist doesn't come in as narrow as a figure girl should do. My shoulders weren't as big at that point. However, moving on from that point to now, nearly 3 years on, my shoulders have got bigger, my quad sweep has got bigger, which has automatically made my waist look a bit smaller. So I could realistically obviously move classes, but I don't want to because I'm in athletic now, because I can get super shredded.
Sure.
What I would suggest is actually have a look in your first starting off on your bodybuilding journey. Unless you have obviously got a good amount of dense muscle tissue, you're probably as a female going to want to start in the lower classes, which 9 times out of 10 are going to be bikini. Now, I would never, ever, ever be a bikini girl. I would look ridiculous if I was on a bikini stage, personally. Because I just look stupid, right? But most girls who get into the bodybuilding industry first start off with bikini. Then they go into trained bikini, and then they can go into the other classes as long as they progress their figure. But genetics, I think, personally do have a lot to do with it. I'm helping a girl at the moment who's going into her first show this year, and she's actually going to go straight into a figure show. But she carries a lot of muscle, especially in her lower half.
Nice.
And she's nice and dense as well. So realistically, she could do a figure category in the natural BMBFs, NPA, that kind of thing. But then if you were going to look into the UK BFF, she'd probably do body fitness because she's got more muscle down below than she does up top.
Yeah.
I put her on bikini and she would look ridiculous.
Yeah.
So have a look at your genetics. Just look at yourself unflexed as well. And then take a picture of yourself unflexed in a mirror and then flexed or in your front lat spread and see how wide you are, because the width of your upper body is going to determine realistically what class you could go in. But that could change as your career progresses, definitely, because I'm not planning on sticking on athletic for the remainder of my career. My aspirations are going to go into physique and bodybuilding. So that's why I'm obviously doing as much as I can to build as much lean tissue as I can. So don't just think if you're going to start in bikini, you're going to end in bikini, unless that's what you like. Again, it's preference, isn't it? So, but you're not realistically stuck into one category for the remainder of your career, in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah. No, I think that serves a purpose for male competitors as well. If you start off in potentially like physique or like any sort of the other ones,
male model or something,
male models, body fitness kind of thing, like all of that jazz. There's no reason why you couldn't initially, like some some MPD athletes make incredible bodybuilders, and it's not always necessarily because they don't have legs. It's normally because their shape fits the men's physique category more so than the bodybuilding. But to be fair, a very good men's physique athlete has a lot of the shape, symmetry, and structure that a great bodybuilder would have, because they're lines that, like, what makes a great men's physique athlete is lines and symmetry and proportions, and and a really, really tight waistline, like very symmetrical abs, things like that. And those things make a great bodybuilder because aesthetically they look great, so it's just whether you've got all the density in the right areas when you hit more of the bodybuilding shots. Because like a front relaxed men's physique pose could be great, but then you could have like an awful side tricep, a really bad rear double, and all of these shots that just really like undersell you on a bodybuilding stage. So that's my opinion on that from a male perspective. But the other question that we got from Vicky, funnily enough,
not me.
She sort of said, like, and this is a really good question, how do you deal with people coming up to you in the gym and sort of saying, asking for a chat, and trying to sort of interrupt you during your session? And this is something that I've certainly dealt with. And I must say that, throughout the later stage of my contest prep, the reason why I did change gyms, because I didn't want to speak to anyone when I was training, and I wanted to get in and get out and focus on my session. So the reason why I changed the gym, because the gym that I changed to was super quiet. I could put my headphones in and know that I wouldn't be interrupted. But nevertheless, when I'm in my other gym, which I train at usually now all the time, or I train with friends or whatever, if I have someone come up to me, I'll happily talk to them. But you've got to be very clear on when you're doing your next set, and like literally just say, like, I'll chat to you in a bit. Just be very, very, very upfront with them. Like, say, I'll chat to you after my session, or say, just get at me on Facebook and we'll have a chat there. I find most of the time, if you say, I'll chat to you, like, if you want to have a chat about this longer topic, I'll chat to you in the gym about it. It never works, because you're always there to train. Unless you are like a PT and you work in the gym and you do shifts, then try not to organise chatting about, I think she was also saying that she specialises in mobility stuff. So people are coming up to her asking for like long conversations. Just say to them, here's my email, give them a card if you have a business card, although they're quite old now. Or sort of say, here's my Instagram, pop me a message on there. And then if they pop me a message on Instagram, you can reply with like a video notes or whatever. And that can be a much more efficient way to get around things without fucking them off. Because
exactly.
You don't want to say, nah, mate, see you later, because that's potential business that you've just shut down the drain. So I think saying to them, I'll chat to you on social media. I just need to finish my session. Potentially give them a reason, like you're in a rush or something like that. That's how I deal with it. But how do you deal with it? And like, also, do you get anyone come up to you and sort of like, like try and sort of say stuff like you're looking awesome? And do you ever find that a bit intrusive? Do you ever get sort of like more males coming up to you and sort of saying things?
I mean,
I'm sure females deal with that maybe a lot. Well, I don't get any females coming up to me in the gym and saying, wow, like, you look fucking incredible. I don't really get that. So,
shame.
Yeah, shame.
I'll message you in between all of your sessions now and just say, AJ, looking good.
Yeah,
just to put you off. So, I mean, I do. The thing is that what I felt necessary, especially recently as well, is that I tend to train in really baggy stuff. So I keep my hoodie on when I'm training, unless I get far too hot, and then I got to take it off. And I have to say, when I take it off, and I'm in my vest or something along those lines, or my small t-shirt, I still don't show a lot of flesh and a lot of my physique, for the simple fact that I just don't feel it necessary. I'm not there training to me is not a fashion statement. I'm just going to go in comfortable and what I feel comfortable to work out in. You see all of these girls these days with their long hair and it's not tied back and tight shorts and, just a sports bra on, they're training and they're not actually training, because they've got an Instagram on the go every 2 seconds. And that is where I find that males will obviously come up to you more often. However, people are still coming up to me and saying, wow, Vic, you still look shredded. I'm like, oh, really? I'm quite fluffy now. But yeah, okay, fine. And one thing that I have noticed very recently, especially if I go and train in a different gym, like I went and trained in Strength Asylum not too long ago in Stoke, and I was doing a really heavy set of deadlifts, and I stopped my deadlifts, and I was like, like this, just trying to get my belt off before I passed out. And these guys came up, and they went, oh, you're the Tiny Titan, can we have a photo with you? I'm like, really? Yeah. Just after I finished this set, are you kidding? So I'm like that with their picture, half dead. But yeah, it does happen quite a lot. Now the thing is like I'm exactly like you. I tend to put on what I call my fuck off headphones if I'm really into a heavy session, which are my big headphones. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, I don't have anything on those headphones at all. But it's a sign that's just like, I'm busy, I'm in my zone, please don't come and talk to me. Yeah. After I do my set, I'll take them off and just hang them around my neck. Yeah. Now, in the gym that I train at across the road from my house normally, 9 times out of 10 people do not come up to me because they just kind of go, oh, I just don't want to interrupt you, which is really nice, and I really respect that. But I do say to them, don't be silly. If you want to come and ask me a very quick question in between my sets, because in my deadlift sets, in between those, my rest period, I will have about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe a bit longer, depending on how long I need in order to recover for them. So that is enough time to answer a very quick question. Yeah. But, I do make it very clear that, if my set is obviously, if I'm ready to go for my next set, I will just kind of say, go and do your set, I'm going to go and do mine, and then we'll catch up afterwards, or let me just get my deadlifts done, and then when I'm in between that, or I'll chat to you afterwards, then we'll obviously have a catch up at that point. So again, it's a polite fuck off, without actually saying fuck off. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't be afraid to say, listen, this is my time, I'm not working at the moment, but yeah, like AJ said, this is my Instagram, or if you follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, I'll always obviously reply to those, or if you're still here after I've finished my session, we can have a catch up whilst I'm having my bro protein shake before I go home. So, we can always do that. So I think that was a nice wrap up on that one. So any other questions that you want to finish on this one?
No, I think we're perfect. I think we answered the couple that we got on Instagram throughout the week. I mean, I know that we get flooded with general DMs, but those were the ones that sort of came from podcast listeners and people that wanted to sort of have their question answered on the podcast. So, but guys, if you have any others that you ever want to ask and you want sort of answered between the two of us on the podcast, please ask, and we'll certainly include them. But yeah, I think that's pretty much us for this week. It was a good topic. I enjoyed that, and I'm sure people have probably got something from it. If anyone wants to share their opinion, please ask away or comment on the YouTube section. And if anyone's got ideas for topics that they want to see next week and want the whole podcast to be about one topic, then let us know and we'll certainly consider it. But that's it for us this week. And anything else left to leave, Vicky?
Instagram shot.
Oh, Instagram shot, of course.
Instagram shot. How can you forget? It's the best part.
3, 2, 1.
Perfect. Okay, well done. I have just had a quick message through actually from Laura, which we will pick up on next week, and that's about rates of muscle gain and volume for females. Okay. So, Laura, let Dougie in. I'm now talking to the kitchen hob. So, Laura, we will answer that one for you next week, and that will be on rates of muscle gain and fatigue levels and volume levels for females. Guys, if you want to have any more information on that, then obviously put that in or shoot us an Instagram across. Make sure that you tag us in all of your podcast shots as per usual. And
keep training hard.
That's it. Keep training hard and eating a moderate surplus.
Yes, eating a moderate surplus and train until your eyes fall off.
Funny. All right, guys. Love you lots. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.